we are live. Welcome to Selection Sunday. Kev, what is going on?
Oh, Gus, I just got rocked out in the ocean. New guy in the surfing world, not doing too well, but hey, I'm here to be back in a comfortable environment in the Top Shot space.
Well,
and then the Swish Fantasy as we go.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see kind of where we decide to go with this one. The CFO kind of gave us a nice little rubric from which to choose from. And let's just dive right into the 2-point option. You know, I think we made a big mistake last week, not going with Giannis. I have the jersey on this week. I really want him to start this week. How do you feel about starting Giannis this week?
Start your studs. I mean, you don't have to twist my arm on that one. That's a start your studs. That's our guy. Let's roll him out.
And, you know, I think what the CFO kind of talked about is like Beal and Zion are kind of the two guys that we look for to round out the 2-point options. If we take a look at what happened in the month of January, Bradley Beal has really been a stud. Now, to remind you, this 2-point category can be a little bit deceiving because you have to subtract the 3 points and the field goals made to get an idea of what those points totals would look like for 2 points. But what do you think, Kev?
Free throws made. Yes, you're correct in your algebra there, but I'm torn on this one. You know, I agree that Beal's been the best 2-point bucket getter in the month of January, but Zion's kind of our franchise guy, our staple in the middle. So as much as Beal's been the guy putting up numbers, I'm leaning towards Zion.
You know, and so if you take a look at it, Zion's actually sitting down here at 25 points, but he doesn't take threes. And he's only tossing in 5 free throws a night, which puts him at 20 points in the 2-point category. Beal is 9 points from 3-point land with another 6, 15, like 21. It's really a toss-up. You know, I see it as a true toss-up. And I kind of agree with you that Zion's our guy. And, you know, that's going to be a change from our opening lineup. From our previewed lineup, we're going to flip the script and we're going to go Zion here. And I think that might ultimately change our assist option. So we'll go right into our assist option. We have a nice little showcase of options that we might want to select from, and we'll let it play and maybe, you know, just offer some thoughts, Kev. Where do you think you want to go here in the assist option?
I'm leaning towards Trae Young. You know, the dude has the ball in his hand all game long. I think with Chris Paul and the Suns, you know, he does have a nice team starting to really come into its own with some young studs there. But I love how often Trae Young has the ball run through him, and I'm leaning there as my 1-2 option.
You know, Trae was a guy who ultimately got us a lot of points in the first and second week of the competition. We had initially made a large investment in this player right here, Russell Westbrook, which from a financial perspective has been quite the investment. It is now valued at around $800 when we bought it for $60. So that, you know, definitely a win there on its own. But, you know, Russell's coming back after an injury. He's getting some minutes. He was ejected from the previous contest, so that fire's in there. I kind of see that as a positive, not a negative.
Always.
So maybe Russell's the guy that we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think Swish is interesting where you have to break it down between the financial value of the card versus how many points is it going to get you this week. And I know that the appreciation on the Russ card is terrific, but in terms of getting points, I'm leaning towards Trae. Like you said, he helped us out big time in the first 2 weeks.
Well, you know, when we take a look at kind of what's going on, the one thing that you always want to be cognizant of is like how many games are your guys playing. You want the most amount of pinballs in the pinball machine, and Trae is playing 4 times a week. You know, it hurts me not to go with Russ, but you know, maybe we need another week left in them. This is going to be another change from our previewed lineup. We're going to flip it around, and we're going to go Trae Young as the assist dime disher option for the Burn podcast. So 2 changes right off the bat, like Selection Sunday getting off to quite the start. Let's move on to the 3-point option. We have some names here, Kev, like as we pull up that showcase, like what do you think?
Shell's coming off a loss. JT really didn't play all that well in the LeBron shadow that he was in for most of the night. I'm leaning in this place, or in this category, more towards Dame time.
Okay.
I know that Steph is usually the leader in this category, but like you said, we're looking for a lot of pinballs. He is only playing 3 games this week. I know that Steph can fill up in just 1 game what some people do in a week. So I could be swayed to play Steph even though he's only 1 game short. But if we want to go with a 4-game guy, I'm leaning towards Dame time.
Something that really strikes me when you look at how last week played in Swish Fantasy is that everybody in really the top 50 either had Dame or Steph Curry. And, you start to see that reflect in the marketplace with Steph Curry's card definitely going high, even Series 2,
Sure.
I think Dame has been hot. We'll take a look at the stats here after the showcase plays. But I will say that, I'm intrigued by Jason Tatum. Marcus Smart's down for a couple of weeks, so that just gives more looks to Tatum. Tatum had been on a COVID hiatus, and now that he's got some more games in him, I kind of expect him to heat up. So Tatum, I think, can be a high upside play this week. I've always saw him in that position when we made this purchase, and it's fun that this opportunity has come to light that, yes, he is that high risk option that is on the plate.
Interesting. No, I hear you on that. And I'm just, yes, he did put up 30 last night, but, maybe I'm mistaken, but not too many of those were from deep. I'll have to look into that pretty quickly.
Well, what the best thing is that we, have our little spreadsheet here, and we can take a look and really investigate to see where Tatum is, how he's faring from 3-point land. Is it just 2-point buckets?
Yeah, he was only 2 or 3 from deep last night.
Oh, really? So he's not really taking too many.
So although he put up 30, it was not from deep.
Okay. Well, this is why you're around, Kev. Just checking me out here. I agree with you that I like Dame here. We're going to prioritize the pinballs into the pinball machine, and let's lock him in. So this is a different sort of lineup, Kev. We started out with Giannis, Beal, Westbrook, Dame, and Rudy, and now we are flipping over to Trae Young and the dime disher, and we're flipping over to Zion. We're kind of just rolling with our studs. I kind of like that.
Yep. Start the guys that got you here. I feel good about it. We got our Deck the Hoops guy. We got the Mount Zion holding it down there. So I feel good about this lineup. Like you said, it wasn't what we thought coming in, but last night's games happen, and you got to be able to turn a franchise on a dime here. So I feel good about this.
All right, and so, we're just kind of flipping through last week's stats here. We're sitting in 44th. We do have the 76ers playing a big one tonight. I think Zion's got another one. I think Rudy's out there. Steph is done. So that'll be fun to kind of check out who can be a part of that filtered lottery we're talking about. And before we end the show, Kev, why don't you give us one player in the 2-bucket category that you like that's not on our roster this week?
Speaking back to what I just did, I think we do have the JT 3-point card, but a Tatum 2-point bucket would go a long ways here. He dropped 24 2-point buckets last night. Really starting to round out the stat sheet there. And like you said, with Marcus Smart being down, there's more food to go around for him.
If you look at the Swish Fantasy leaders from this past week, familiar faces that are not on the roster are LeBron and Luka, and those are definitely players that I think this franchise will look to acquire in the future. So I kind of like those two guys. I like Kevin Durant as well.
Sure.
I like KD from three-point land as well. But what about from three-point land, Kev? Like, who outside of the roster do you like?
And what's interesting when you look at the three-point card is looked like 49 of the top 50 all started Steph. So we'll see how that pinball's analogy plays out to the rest of the field. You know, are we going to see some more Dame times out there because he has 4 games, or are there going to be a lot of people that roll Steph out there even though he is playing one less game? I think that'll be something to keep an eye on for sure. Buddy Hield's an interesting play, though.
Yeah, and, you know, Wayne Ellington's been hot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think for all the reasons you just said, Kev, like, that's why I really like the Dame Lillard play out of us. He's just shooting it at a similar clip to Steph, but he's going to get that extra pinball, so hopefully that plays in our favor. But I would look to Duncan Robinson this week. I think this is the week where he turns it up. I think they got 4 games this week.
Okay.
So that's my little sneaky play from outside the roster in three-point land. Now, what about the assist column? Who do you like in the assist column outside of the roster?
You know, it's interesting. We've been talking a lot about Dame, but he is also dropping 7.5 assists a game.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those where the entire offense flows through him. Sure, he's getting his, but he's also sharing the rock really well.
You know, we've spoke a little bit about James Harden being a nice assist guy. I think the sneaky guy to watch really is Ja Morant. I think he's going to be the player that, like, really starts to rack up some assist totals. And, like, you're going to find, like, similar, like, consistent value to Trae Young that is, like, constantly going through him, right? So I like Ja from the assists column this week.
I love Ja as well. And, you know, he's still someone, he's only 21 years old. If it wasn't COVID, probably hitting the bars for the first time. You know, he's still a young pup that's getting his paws on the rock more and more each night. I can definitely see that coming into fruition.
You know, and maybe he's the guy that benefits the most from the pandemic, you know? Like, nowhere to go, Ja. Like, you know, keep you in check and, like, let's keep dishing the rock and, like, get some good value there. You know, like, the defensive wizard category has always been a challenge for me. Like, I haven't really seen a player that I love outside of Rudy. You know, like, Larry Nance Jr. seems to be getting, 2 steals a night, which is fine, but, like, that doesn't excite me. You know, Miles Turner has had a nice little month, but really it's been Rudy that's kind of just always around at like +3 a game. Clint Capella had 5 the previous week. He kind of comes back to reality. Taco Fall might be a fan favorite that's just funny. But I don't know, Kev, like, who do you like?
You know, I wouldn't sleep on AD there. Although he's only at 2.2 blocks a game, he's also with a sneaky 1.5 steals a game.
Yeah, no, I think there's some value there. You know, the trickiest part
of people are looking at this as a one or the other, like a blocks or steals kind of guy, and he could be one of the hybrids across categories.
Well, you know, you need to pair that moment on your fantasy roster, right? You can't play the double card. You only get one shot at it. And, you know, there is a struggle to find this moment and player together. Like, some of these guys who are available can't really be found on the market. The Taco Fall block is available, and so that is like a card that I think new users can acquire and come into. Although his price is also spiking on the market, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, his jersey sales are certainly through the roof in Boston. Everybody loves themselves some 7'4" Taco Fall.
It's tremendous. He's just a galloping giraffe out there. It's awesome.
Every day's Taco Tuesday in Boston.
Well, listen, Kev, that'll kind of bring our show to a close. Real excited about everything that we're doing. If there's one thing that we need to do better, that is getting into the numbers more. So what can you tell us about what you can expect to see from the Burn on that front?
You said it correctly. You know, we've been going a lot with our gut and some high-level stats. So the Burn is really going to start pulling in some numbers, digging into the analytics, and given the listeners some more detail as to not only why we're making our picks, but who the sleepers could be and some good card value for the output as well. So we're going to give some good advice on that in the coming days. I think this could be something we tap into midweek and then ultimately review it back at selection show.
So Kev, before we wrap up the show, how do you feel about not this week, because we've already committed ourselves to anyone who finishes above us in week 3, but in week 4, do you want to send out, like, if you finish in first, you get the NFT reward? Do you think, like, that person in first will ultimately respect that award enough to earn the week 3 NFT?
I would certainly hope they respect it. I mean, it is a prize among prize. I think that's a trophy that anyone would want on their shelf. And yes, I like that, where if somebody or the first place person, maybe they have the initial right to it, and if they don't reach back out or for whatever reason decline, we move into second place and kind of work our way on down the leaderboard and see where it lands.
Well, hopefully we don't have to go down to like 27. That'd be embarrassing. But
no. I mean, plus it's going to be tough when you and I finish first this week, and then we're going to give the trophy to ourselves. No, we'll probably pass that along to whoever finishes second or third.
Well, what might be fun is if we do finish in first, we will bring on the next finisher below us, and then we'll make them take on the prize that we select for them. So that might be fun.
I like that.
That might be fun. So we'll keep the integrity of the game show together. Excited about what's going on, and we will see you guys soon. So any final words, Kev?
Another great edition of The Burn. Thankful for all our listeners. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Awesome.